that's why it took so long, is that partly, I mean, it was also because the story had to take a certain amount of time to tell. But yeah, I mean, I was, doing all sorts of odd jobs, like cleaning houses and proofreading and teaching adjunct teacher of film and projecting films for stockbrokers in downtown Manhattan and during their lunch hour even. That was an odd job. So yeah, I mean, it was just and then whenever I received a substantial grant, I would stop and I would just work on the film. So yeah, I think the thing about documentary filmmaking is that in a way it allows you to have a dual life, because usually you can do it in between other things. A feature film is different because you have to do it for a concentrated period of time, like take 3 months and just work on a film. But a documentary, I mean, I've been working on several documentaries now for the last 6, 7, 8 years, and it's a problem because it's hard to get them finished, but you can do it. So you're a little more flexible. Yes?
I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about, after '92, and with this movie in relation to developing the movie, getting it out there, what has happened as far as everyone seeing it, or
well, the film showed at many film festivals when it was released in '92, '93, and then we had a run in New York. We showed it at Cinema Village for a couple of weeks. What else? It's been bought by schools of urban planning, I believe, and planning. Quite a few universities have purchased it. But other than that, at this point, certainly that most of the activity around it have come from my website and just people in Hoboken who have some relationship to Hoboken wanting to see it. There hasn't been any, public exhibition of it lately. Although I think a couple of years ago it was shown in Queens at the Museum of Film and Television in Queens. But it was shown on WNYC in New York. PBS didn't want it. They thought it was too regional. And what else? Anyway, so that's it. It hasn't been seen a huge amount, but it's gotten out a bit. Different parts of the country. Especially parts of the country that have experienced the same kind of thing, like San Francisco, other cities too. Yes?
What would you most hope that people in Hoboken today would learn from your film watching?
Well, I guess to value what is and what's here, and to try to make sure that you keep it, because certainly a lot has changed, and people will say that a lot has been lost from the time that I was working in Hoboken on the film. But you have to move on, and I would say that there's a lot that still is wonderful about this place, but it takes work really to hold on to it, because change can be vociferous. It can really be ravenous. It can be, the thing about what was happening in Hoboken when I was filming is that there were some people who wanted to try to slow development down, to try to hold on to certain things and that related to people. And that was a really hard struggle, because the forces of real estate really are very, very powerful. And this whole issue of private property rights, which was always the issue that came up, you can't control, and actually I should ask George here to say something about it, because George and I probably had different opinions about this. Because people would say, well, you can't interfere with private property rights. And other people were saying, well, let's put some controls on developers. Let's make developers, if they want the privilege of developing here, to make some givebacks. and provide affordable housing. And that was very, very hard to achieve. In fact, I don't think it was achieved. And and there are a lot of reasons for that. But I would imagine that there's some really amazing things that people love about this place, and they have to be careful that it doesn't get all eaten up and changed. So participation, going to city council meetings, making your voice heard, participating in your community, not treating it as a bedroom community. That's what I would say. George.
You asked me a question, I have to throw out an answer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know it, but we were doing the buying tenants out in the early 80s, and we thought giving them free rent for 6 months or 12 months and then $5,000 or $10,000 was a great opportunity for them. We were looking at that through our eyes, not so much through their eyes. And when you started filming, you were always around. From the mid-'80s to the late 80s, you were just all over the place doing things. And we knew kind of where your focus was, and I think it changed our focus. And I don't know if you know that, but we actually stopped buying occupied buildings and started buying vacant land and empty warehouses right about late 80s and stayed with that the whole way through. And a lot of that had to do with us kind of getting refocused through your look at the whole issue. And I just wanted to thank you for coming down. And I wanted to thank Jerry, who cued me that you were going to be coming tonight. Because I have my own copy of the movie, so I see it at home every once in a while. Yeah. But when I heard you were coming, I had to come down. I brought my parents, I brought my wife. And it's really exciting. It's just great to see you again. Oh,
well, it's nice to see you, too. I mean, I'm flattered to think that seeing me with my camera would have made you think differently. I think also it wasn't just me though. I mean, this was an issue. This was an issue that was being debated and talked about and all over, you know. So it's really great if that discourse really did affect you and change the way you thought about things. That's really great.